See, I don't know how to make any music. I think the tempo on that song. Heyo, Julie, how are you?
Heyo, Jason, I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to House Rules. This is the Heroes and Hooligans talk show. Each week, we're going to bring creators, voice actors, dungeon masters. What have I missed? All sorts of talented people on. And today we have Aaron and Jason from Evenfooting Games. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, yeah.
So here's what I know about Aaron. You have a particular set of skills.
Yes.
Is that true?
That is what one of our team members had said about me. So I used it in my bio that I was very like Liam Neeson.
I like it.
And she punches people in the throat a lot. Yeah.
Right.
Virtually throat punching.
Throat punches.
I will find you and I will roll for damage. Jason, you are a dungeon master and a watermelon lumper. What's a watermelon lumper?
That was a job I had in college. Actually, it was the guy who went into the back of all the trucks, the 18-wheelers, and they just shove all those watermelons in there, and you got to drag them all off. So
yeah. I worked in the produce department when I was 16, and I would have to take the watermelons when they were just past prime or sell them whole. You'd have to cut them into slices that were still good, and then you'd have to shrink wrap them. And let me tell you, the worst smell of my life is burning watermelon.
Now take that smell and put it in the back of an 18-wheeler on a hot day. And multiply it by about 1,000. Yeah, that was
indescribable.
Terrible. I still can't eat watermelons to this day.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Yeah. All right. So thank you both for joining us. We really do appreciate it. We are going to talk about a few things. We have a theme for tonight. Julie, I don't know if you remember it. We'll get to it. But we're going to start with a fun question. Julie, do you want to ask the fun question?
I do. All right. First thing, I'm going to preface the question with there is no right or wrong answer, contrary to popular belief.
That's a trick, but okay.
If you had a choice between two superpowers, flying and invisibility, which would you choose? Present day, just granted a superpower, nobody else in the world has one.
Definitely flying.
Why?
100%. I don't know, because sounds more fun. I don't really want I don't want to. I mean, actually, maybe I would want to be invisible for a while. I could hide from my kid for a minute, but
they'd only be louder. Wait, looking for you.
Man, I could win at hide and seek.
See, this question is a trick. Because if you pick invisibility, there's no good reason. It's all for nefarious purposes. You want to steal or sneak or be but that's obviously I want to be invisible. Like that's so I'm gonna own it.
Of course you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have lined up our screen layout correctly then, because Holy is team invisible and I am team flying. I think invisible is more powerful, but do you really need any more powers if you can fly? You need anything else? What other problems could you have in life?
People seeing you fly through the air and still wanting you to sit down and talk to them. That's why I want to be invisible, so I could be left alone.
Sorry.
See, that's good.
I'm also considering that I could maybe skip the carpool lane at school.
Think of what you said.
I could pick up my kid, so I feel like even in flying mode, I could still get him home.
Yeah.
Flying is the most economical, of course, right? Like gas prices are
absolutely
insane. Okay, we have okay. The audience is split on this one. This is a polarizing question. I think that makes
Is there a way we can see what people are saying?
It's gonna
we'll throw them up on the screen, but they're in the comments. Yeah.
Oh,
you go to the comments tab.
Oh, gotcha.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, you got it on there already.
I can walk on any plane I want. Bam, flying. True.
See, sneaky, underhanded.
Yeah.
That's where invisibility.
But you may not get a seat.
Yeah.
And you still have to walk through security.
I think being able to fly is more than just transportation, though. You know,
I think it would be fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Like, just like, I need to get out of here for a second. I'm going to go do some loop-de-loops.
Yep. Okay, you guys are both D&D people? Yes?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Among every other system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good TTRPGs that aren't D&D, which we are big fans of. But yes, we've both played lots.
Okay, so let's open it up. It doesn't have to be just classic D&D, but what is your coolest monster?
Oh, it's like favorite monster of any? Okay.
If you're a dungeon master and you're building something to create an encounter that's interesting and meaty, what are we going with?
I like a monster that is set up to be smarter than the players.
Not hard when I'm in the group.
Not hard. I mean, honestly, not hard. You know, you throw a puzzle of fourth grader figures out, and you'll stymie most adult players. There's a D&D. It's a Rashaka. I think it's like a magic tiger guy. Rakasha, magic tiger.
Yes.
The whole thing is how they're super smart and they're brilliant tacticians and they can shapeshift. So I'm like, anything that's gonna screw up the players on as many levels as we can.
And they hold a nasty grudge, and they're coming.
Yes, they do.
Whether you go in your genie vessel to hide from them or not, they're there 8 hours later, and you're getting smoked.
This sounds like personal experience there. Yeah.
Aaron, how about you?
I'm trying to think. There was some sort of a snake thing that came in multiple kinds, and I can't remember what its name was. No, not a playable race.
Okay.
But they were either they had super high intelligence or super high wisdom. But they could cast and they could, they were way more strategic. They were big snake things.
Is it the Naga?
So the Naga, maybe?
Yes, it's Naga. Yeah.
Naga.
Very good.
Yeah, because you could have like a bone Naga or something else.
I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Bone Naga.
And I like those a lot because I like anything that can cast while it's being bad, because I think it makes things a little bit more strategic than just beat up.
And I think they regenerate too, right? You kill one,
they do.
24 hours later, it's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like that. Holy, what are you thinking about right now as far as a monster?
My current favorite monster is Harengon Brigand Leader with magical weapons. That's my current favorite monster.
Shocking.
He is. He's my pocket bunny from now on for the rest of forever, because I think it's a good trick.
Yeah.
Where you look at this bunny and you think you're gonna get, you're like, is this a bunny? No, he's a fast, smart, strong, magical bunny, and he's here to tear shit up.
You think it's duck season, and really it's not.
Yeah, it's behind the rabbit. Yeah.
But if he drank beer, it would probably be IPA because it's got hops, right?
Oh, is this how it's gonna be? All right, this is good to know.
That's a Jason joke. That's a Jason joke.
My Jason as well.
Yeah, I let you fall on the sword for that joke.
No, you've set the tone, and now you will reap the whirlwind. All right.
Yeah. So okay. Oh gosh, I want to get into our theme. I'm thinking, do we go heavy or do we just jump into the theme? So you guys play multiple systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
You play 5e. You play, what are some of the other systems you like to play? Are you GURPS people?
I've done some GURPS in the past. I never really got it. GURPS Combat drove me nuts. So I just kind of gave up on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Call of Cthulhu.
Nice.
Cut my teeth on 3.5. We'll always go back to that.
Okay.
I'm reading the Blades in the Dark book right now, and I'm itching to play. It looks like a very, very cool system. I just haven't had a chance to try it out yet. But yeah, I like little indie stuff that kind of sneaks around the fringes. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Aaron?
I actually started when I started playing D&D or tabletop RPGs when 4th edition was around and nobody wanted it.
I'm sorry.
And so I started playing with Green Ronin's age system, which I liked. It was a bunch of D6s, which is always fun.
Shadowrun, yeah.
Yeah. But we've Powered by the Apocalypse, and I play a lot of Babies and Broadswords right now.
Hey!
So let's talk about, because this is my theme, different systems, and there's a lot of talk right now about, does alignment still hold any relevance in the TTRPG space? So I think alignment is a tricky thing because it doesn't really have a mechanic behind it. It's very much DM discretion. So what's your thoughts on alignment?
I think alignment in the strict D&D sense of things is good for memes. But yeah, like you said, there's no mechanic for it in Dungeons and Dragons, so I don't know that it necessarily really does anything aside from adds to the narrative. But I think more and more players are finding out that if they want a more narrative game, then they're moving to other systems, which are more designed for that, where alignment isn't just, a suggestion. It's very much built into how you play the game. There are more and more systems that are almost building mechanics for alignment. It's something that we're trying to do with our newest system right now, where your ethics and morality plays a serious part of how and what you can do in the game.
Yeah, and playing to your morality, the morality you chose actually helps you accomplish things. But yeah, I wouldn't have said until very recently that it mattered at all, because I hadn't played with a DM that was really into it until I had a DM that swapped my alignment in a game. Not a fan.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like I ended up having to retire the character. It was just completely not fun for me anymore.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, like, because I had a chaotic good and they made me a lawful evil character, and I was like, this was totally not where I was going with this. Yeah. and so it was we ended up just making her like a big bad in the campaign, and I brought in a new character, which was also really kind of icky for me too, because I had gotten attached to her. And
yeah, and I think what alignment does when it's used well is it provides an anchor and a worldview from which to begin a character arc, right? So I think a lot of the hero's journey, and you have a point of view. Let's take a I don't know. Let's take we could take Hercules, or we could take Frodo Baggins, where you start out in a world and you are thrown into many challenges, and you are brought you're faced with many choices. For me, alignment really anchors consistency with offering that opportunity for progress and actualization. So I think it's really important, even though there's no mechanic. I think it is up to the DM and the party mates to gently reinforce. I think it's up to the DM to present challenges, difficult choices against that alignment. And it's a partnership between the party and the DM to sort of gently create a progression, so that the character is heroic and better, not just with skills, but with their personality at the end of the adventure than they were at the beginning. So for me, it's super important. You know, that's my take. Holy, what's your take on alignment?
Alignment for me depends on the kind of campaign that I'm running, right? There are things, even though there's no technical game mechanic written into 5e for alignment, there are spells, monsters, weapons, effects, things like that are alignment based and affected. And so I tend to, depending on where we're going with the campaign, what kind of players I have, like what their main goal is, depends on really how alignment plays for me into my campaigns. They're all campaign specific. Mm-hmm. So my Tuesday night group, I don't really focus too hard on that alignment because it doesn't really matter. It's just all chaos, right? But like my Monday night group,
that is an alignment. Chaos is an alignment.
It is. But like my Monday night group, my women's group, deities are heavily rooted into that campaign. So alignment matters. Your choices matter. You're seen by something bigger in the world, and your choices that are being made in that campaign matter. So it reflects. So if I see that you're aligned chaotic good and you're consistently making choices that fall on the line of below that, we're gonna present something in the game that forces you to make a choice, whether you're gonna one way or the other. I'm never gonna force a player to change their alignment, but I will put them in a position to question their alignment.
Yeah.
Where they maybe go, well, I thought that I was chaotic good, but I guess I'm more like chaotic evil. Personally, yeah. I like true neutral because it gives me moral ambiguity.
Yeah, but I see that's where, as a DM, I would push a true neutral player to pick a side. Absolutely, 100%. Like that would be my, you know, I you know this. You've played in my campaigns. I've played in your campaigns. I want to present really difficult choices, and it's not always in a battle, but I want there to the stakes to feel real, and I want to subvert the obvious tropes of, you know, goblins are always evil, right? Mm. So that kind of notion. I want to stick true to the elements, but I want to present characters with challenges from multiple dimensions, and alignment is a key one for me because I just want to test a character and who they are, and I want that character to be better at the end of the adventure than they were at the beginning. And that doesn't mean better as in good, not necessarily good, you know. I think good and evil are really
subjective.
They're lazy terms, and they're somewhat anachronistic. I think chaos and law are pretty easy to define. Good and evil, I think, if you go all the way back to original D&D, it was good, neutral, and selfish were the three alignments. There was no chaos and law. And advanced D&D added our current alignment chart. And good and selfish, you know, to me makes a little bit more sense. Selfish certainly makes more sense to me for evil. I don't think anyone is mindlessly evil unless they are, you know, a feral, you know, beast, you know, in that you would face in the forest, right? That is all consuming. So I think there's a little bit of problems with the terminology, but I do really believe that a character has to have a worldview, has to have a point of view, and it has to have a sense of self. And I don't know of another way within the game to anchor that sense of self other than alignment. What's the creature? Okay, good question. It's sprung to my head, and I think it's a little unfair, but the shambling mound is what sprung to my head. You know?
Sure.
Like,
yeah, but is it just trying to eat?
I mean, I was
Is that evil?
I was in a
You're
punk
supposed
rock
to be a
band.
love.
Yeah.
I was in a punk
Just
rock
a big ol'
band.
hug.
Yeah.
We had a song called Shambler of Love, and it was from the point of view of the shambling mound. And it was sung in falsetto, and it was a love song to its meal.
Aw,
So
that's nice.
but that's what came to mind. You know, you get let's see, a white dragon, right? The trope of a white dragon is that it's bestial, and it seeks to defend its territory and destroy everything else around. That would be an example. I think you can play with you know, in at AD&D, kobolds were clearly evil, and now they're a playable race. And I think we've added a lot of nuance, and I think you can really make a lovable kobold. You can make a lovable goblin.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think there's a lot of space to work with. If you spin something a bit, I don't know that reference, but yeah, I like it. All consuming is right. If you spin it to their point of view, and as long as that monster has a point of view, now you have a really compelling monster as well. So if you really see it from the side of the orc chieftain, right, and you can see why maybe they are trying to invade a farmland. Now, from one perspective, that is just a pure act of evil, but from another perspective, maybe that farmland is part of some sort of like manifest destiny from a kingdom that has completely displaced the orcs from their land, and they are simply trying to, guerrilla warfare style, get that land back. Right. So there's a lot of different ways you can spin it. There's a lot of nuance that you can add to monsters, not just to characters. So it's all about anchoring that in a point of view and a worldview, and creating consistency so that it makes sense in that world.
I think my concern is, and the issues that I've run across, is when alignment becomes a crutch, and it becomes an excuse for the character to behave badly. I've run into that a few times. The chaotic rogue,
stupid.
Yep, we'll rob half the party. Like, that's what my character would do. It's like,
that's
yeah, you're being a jerk now, and I think that's, I can definitely see the necessity of having a grounding. I think it really, it's tough. Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about the fact that the alignment chart goes all the way back to AD&D, and that's what, almost 40 years ago at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Give or take. And we, D&D is moving away from that. Like you said, kobolds are playable races now. Kenkus are playable races now. Like the things that were monsters 10, 15, 20 years ago are now playable races. We're removing the shades of gray, or we're adding shades of gray, I should say, to our monsters. And I think we need to make sure we're doing the same to our players. Yeah, no, that's absolutely. Strahd is a perfect example. I know people who play Strahd as very classic Stoker Dracula vampire, and some he's a tragic anti-hero. It's all those shades of gray, and by making him just strictly lawful evil, or making him strictly this alignment or that alignment, you lose a lot of the nuance that you could have. And I think the same goes with your players. If you pigeonhole them, a lot of folks will feel that they're stuck in those holes. I have to play it this way. I have to play it that way because that's what my alignment says. And that's always a fear for me, Yeah. Especially with new players who don't understand that they can branch out. They feel like they have to follow.
Or it's a starting place. It's a starting place, which your character, when pushed and shoved in different situations, might move according to how they're feeling in that moment.
Yeah, I use a lot of, when I'm a player, or NPCs. Mostly this comes from me having to play NPCs, and NPCs are not disposable, but they don't require that deep investment over months and years, right?
Mhm.
So one of the things I would do with NPCs is give them sort of a catchphrase or a monologue, and that would anchor me as I had to play them for multiple weeks. I could look at that little monologue or that little catchphrase and say, okay, I get where this person comes from, right?
Mhm.
And I do this with my players now, and I have just a list of quotes, and I will, that anchors me to their point of view, so that as I fall into it and I have that sort of difficult decision to make in a session, I now have their point of view to sort of make that decision from.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it can add a lot. I think it can be a crutch. I agree with you, Jason. So it can be a crutch. Chaotic neutral is probably the only alignment I wouldn't allow in one of my campaigns. I'm not one of the DMs that say no evil characters. I think you can deal with evil characters. You just have to work through like what they mean by evil when they put it on the sheet. What does that actually mean for them?
And what are they trying to accomplish?
Yeah. As long as they're not PvPing their party mates, like we can work with it.
Yeah.
You know, if you really dislike clerics and you really dislike Azamar, okay, we can work with that. Like that's a thing we can work with. Like that's your point of view. That's workable. Okay, so we talked about anchoring and character arcs and character development. I want to ask you a question for each of you. So I'm a big believer in the wonder years. The age 9 through 12, where we sort of develop our sense of self, which we become our essential version of ourselves before stress and academics and hormones and work and life hit us in the face and sort of force us to adapt to life. If we're going to use the D&D term, you know, that's our session 0 when we're 12 years old. I think a lot of what we do is trying to fight to maintain that or get back to that at some point. And it's tough. So here's my question. Aaron and Jason, you guys decide who goes first, but who were you at age 12? And what do you do to either preserve that version of you or get back to your essential self?
Wow. Aaron, you can take this one. I gotta think.
Okay.
I have to think back farther than you do.
Yeah. Jason's so old. I think I was a kid who was reading Pern a lot, lots of Pern, and I wouldn't have maybe thought about this unless you had said it as this question. So I hadn't played D&D until I was an adult, because I grew up in a very, I went to a private Christian school, and people got, accused of being witches, and the people were praying for them. It was a big thing. But my friends and I used to basically write like story paragraphs, and then we'd pass it on, and we'd write stories together. And that is, what is that but kind of what, tabletop role playing is? It was just, we didn't have dice. So we would, among a few of us, we would just, I'd write a little bit of a story, and then you write a little bit of a story, and then we'd laugh and see how it came together. But I feel like me now doing this instead of being a stockbroker or a therapist, which are things that I have done professionally, and trying to kind of be a nerd with my friends and write games and write content, is kind of me trying to get back to that self.
Yeah, totally. I think of these games as collaborative storytelling. It is a group of people coming together to tell a story, and you have one person that sort of manages that process, and we call that the game master, the dungeon master. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're telling a story together. Yeah, that's great. How about you, Jason?
At 12, I was also had my nose in books, but I think I was probably reading Piers Anthony, as opposed to the Pern books, but still definitely. Geez, I grew up in a military household, so we moved every couple of years. So 12, I was probably, sitting by myself most of the time because I was in a new place and trying to figure out how to make friends. And so I guess the part of what I'm trying to do now, I guess, is make up for the play with friends that I may not necessarily have gotten when I was growing up.
Yeah.
To forge those kinds of relationships that I kind of missed out on just because of the way that I grew up, kind of living out of cardboard boxes for the first 18 years of my life. So yeah, I came to D&D seriously pretty late too. I was probably in high school or so, and never got a regular game going. It was just never in a place long enough. It was always basically the eternal NPC. So I think that's what I'm doing. Excuse me, is making up for lost time. Is now I want to play those games with my friends, and I'm also making my friends work for me to make those games that we're all playing now. So capital N, I guess.
Yeah. I think there's some really powerful stuff in there from both of you. I think so. The online nature of this, I think, would you agree that's really unlocked the ability to connect with? Yeah.
Absolutely. There would be no way we could do this.
No, not at all.
Our team is scattered all over the world. Literally, we have, people on different continents, and we're working together every single day. And there would be no way to do that without the tools we have now.
Just the way that the internet has opened up our connections to new people. Half of us finally met each other in real life a few months ago at a convention, and it was like we just sank right into it. Like it didn't feel like meeting new people. Like we'd been talking every day for a year and a half straight at that point, or whatever the case may be. So it was just, now I can see you from the chest down.
The rest of your body, besides
so that's
your
what the
shoulders.
rest of you looks like. Okay, but it wasn't. It wasn't weird. These connections that we make with people online, they are real. There is a tangibility to them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm still friends with. Let's read this. So I've learned to appreciate D&D tabletop more now because of the digital age. Yeah, I think that's really well taken. I have friends from middle school and high school that I'm still friends with, and we played D&D from middle school on. They still play once a week and around a table. But I think during the pandemic, we got many of them to play online, and some of them still do. There's a lot of differences. We don't need to. We've gone into that in a different episode, but I think we took for granted how lucky we were to have 5 people that would continue to hang out at least once a week into our 40s. Hanging out once a week for sure. And it was not that we didn't just sit around drinking beer, but we were doing something with our minds we weren't just sitting watching a football game or sitting around telling the same dumb stories over and over again. We were sitting around telling the same dumb stories and rolling dice once a week. So
it's a big difference. Yeah.
But it provides structure to a friendship, which I think as it it's hard to make friends when you're older.
Mhm.
It's hard to maintain friends for a long time.
Yeah.
So I am very fortunate to have maintained those friendships and had this game. I cannot tell you, this is not our only, we would do all sorts of adventures, real world D&D adventures. But this was a through line for 30 years. So
that's great.
Yeah, both things are really, really special. So all right. Oli, you want to ask our last question?
I do. What's your favorite house rule?
My favorite house rule is that and this is probably more Babies and Broadswords specific. This is our game. If you can beat me to a dad joke, then I'll give you a gold star, which is our version of inspiration. Yeah. So if you can outsmart the sitter, beat me to the bad joke, then I will bow to you and give you a little bit of inspiration for that. Nothing really else will get you that. Just really just.
I like it.
Yep, just beating me to the punchline. Yeah.
What about you, Aaron?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, because I mean, the rules that we've been in lately are the rules we're writing. So I'm trying to think in D&D. I tend to make people re-roll their characters if they get like ridiculously high numbers. Like I think that like having a low, like a dumb stat is like really good for character stuff. And I don't like it when people just roll like nothing but 14s. Like it's no fun. So I usually say like, okay, but one of those maybe needs to go lower. And also if somebody rolls nothing but terribly, I usually have them get a higher number. So I tend to standard array people myself when they get crazy high or low stats.
What about you, Jason? What's your favorite house rule?
Another one I could do.
Well, other Jason.
Other Jason.
Other Jason. I'm sorry. I'm like, I forgot to name one.
Okay. Let's see.
Like I did, didn't I?
Oh, this Jason. This Jason. Right?
Oh, that one? Okay. Yeah, he's right there. There it is. Yeah.
I've given a few in previous episodes. Let me think of a house rule that. So I really like the I really like what Aaron said about having a low stat creates that anchor point. It defines a character. Often we're defined by our weaknesses. We have to find a way around it. I'll tell you a conversation I had earlier today with someone I play with on our streams. You can be an evil character. You can be oppositional. You can be antagonistic. But at the end of the day, push come to shove, all your actions need to serve the party. So you can disagree about what tactics to use, or whether you fight someone, or whether you sneak in or go through the front door. But at the end of the day, all action should serve the party. And to me, that's like a cardinal rule of the game. I think that is how you build trust and cohesion within a party. A party is a team. It's a team sport from my perspective. So that would be mine from the top of my head for today.
I'm not going to reiterate my favorite house rule because I beat that over the head, but I will say no infighting is a big rule for me, right? Like no party confrontation. You're not, if one's evil, one's good, and you worship opposite gods, like that doesn't matter. You're still going to be buds, and you're camping at the same campfire, and you're not stabbing each other in the sleep. So we don't do that, and we don't steal from party members, anything like that. We don't do any of that kind of chaos. That really.
But it's my alignment.
I would say though that you can have really powerful moments when people disagree over big stuff and they start discussing it as a party. And I have a game that I'm playing right now where my character and another character always butt heads. and now we're like the characters are best buds because they banged up against each other and realized that they were more alike than they thought they were. Even though they always fought about what they wanted to do and everything was wrong that the other person thought.
I'll let them argue, right? But we're never going to roll PvP against each other.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're never letting someone polymorph another player?
No, we're not. You're not polymorphing. You're not casting spells on your party members without consent. You're not, if you say, I want to grapple so-and-so, I'm going to say, so-and-so, are you okay with your character being grappled? Yes or no? If they say no, I say, then you're not doing that.
Yeah, I just don't think you can't take it back when you take someone's agency from them. A DM shouldn't take agency from players, and players should certainly not take that from their party mates. You know, I operate at work. I operate under the premise of we all have to work together for a very long time, even in industries where, you know, you might have high turnover and people may only be there for a couple of years. Like, you know, the premise should be, you know, don't leave a mess for other people to clean up, and we all have to work together for a very long time. And if you come from it from that perspective, you can disagree pretty strongly and still know that you're all on the same team.
Correct.
So yeah, that's a big one. All right, let's plug some stuff. All right, we have something. So again, Aaron, Jason, Evenfooting Games. Let's run the promo. I like that music.
Yeah,
that was so fancy.
Stellar.
That was so cool. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, you guys will get a copy of that to take home.
Oh, that was awesome.
Parting
That
gift.
was them.
Who did that?
Just one of our parting gifts. That is
That's awesome.
Lala, right?
Yeah, that is Lala. Yeah.
Like Heroes and Hooligans own. She puts our videos together. So Lala,
that was great.
Thank you, Lala. That was awesome.
Yeah, we'll give you a copy of that video so you guys can use it however you like.
Awesome.
Parting thoughts. Holy, we are above our initial goal on Trevor Project. We are pushing for the stretch goal. But do you want to talk about our project and our upcoming celebration of meeting that goal?
Yeah, I do. Heroes and Hooligans, in collaboration with some of our other friends in the community, are coming together for a project that we are calling Rolling for Charity. Our current benefactor for our charity streams is the Trevor Project. If you are not familiar with the Trevor Project is a program of people who run suicide prevention and counseling for trans and non-binary youth and other services in the LGBTQIA community. This is something that not only Heroes and Hooligans, but our affiliates in the community stand behind and fully support. Current legislature fucking sucks and the universe is trash, so we need to do what we can do to be friends to everybody because we're allies, right? So in June, we have 2 one-shot games benefiting this charity. The 11th, I will be running a game, and then the 18th of June, Jason will be running a game. And we're really going to turn those games up a notch, much different content than what we do on our normal Monday through Sunday sort of channel. So I'm going to let Jason talk about that part a little bit. But those games are super important in this project because that's where we're going to push to do a lot of the fundraising. We have some awesome things that will be up for donation in the chat, some things that are going to benefit and contribute to the game. You know, certain donation amounts equal combat, inspirations, health potions, you know, just a few of those kind of things. So I've got a pretty interesting array of things wrapped up in that game. Jason is actually going to do something really freaking awesome for that game too. Why don't you talk about it, Jason?
Yeah, so what we're going to do for the folks who donate, we're going to put a party together for the session on the 18th. And it is going to be fully customized adventure. And, you know, for our streams, we tend to keep them high pace, short duration, 90 minutes to 2 hours. We understand everyone's time is valuable, all of our viewers, but for the Trevor Project special events, we're going to do a full adventure. So it's going to be a one shot, but it's going to be a true adventure arc. And we're going to take time. It's going to be about the players themselves. So people who donate will have a chance to be in the party. It's going to be fully customized. If they want dragons, they will have dragons. If they want undead, they will have undead. If they want to have it in the Underdark, we will make it in the Underdark. They're going to have an opportunity to really select the tone, everything from wacky and silly to really dark and horror. They're going to feed me what they want. I've got the form for them to fill out. We're going to cater that night. It's going to be a full arc. They're going to get to choose what level player what level characters they want. Do they want to be 3rd through 7th level, or do they want to go epic and fight a Tarask? If they want to fight a Tarask, we will fight a Tarask. We will make that happen for you. So we're going to take as much time as it takes to really do that adventure right. It might be 4 hours, it might be 6 hours, it might be 8 hours, whatever it takes to really give a full adventure feel. It's going to be multiple encounters, multiple challenges. We're going to have multiple voice actors, which we love. We have guest NPCs and voice actors. We have so much talent. I'm going to leverage all of that talent. I'm going to twist a bunch of arms, pull in a bunch of favors, and we're going to make this a really special event. We want to reward people who have helped us meet our goal. I think we're over our $500 goal. We're on our way to our next goal, which is $800 for this really great great cause. We're really excited about it, and we're going to continue to do this. Once this one is done, we're going to do some other good causes as well. So this is going to be a recurring theme for us. I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome, guys. Yeah. That's really admirable.
Yeah. So Jason and Aaron, if you guys want to take a moment to kind of talk to us about Evenfooting games, it's your plug time.
Yep.
You're pointing at me?
Yeah, you want to plug? Go for it. I'll hold up the book.
Okay. So we wrote a system, and we are still putting out content for it. It's called Babies and Broadswords. It's a really easy D6 system, easy for newcomers, families. You can play it with your kids. We have optional kind of what we call big kid rules that you can build on it. But kind of a staple of our system is that we have 3 different types of hit point pools. So things can affect you mentally, physically, socially.
Wow.
And they are different on how they affect you. So I don't know, Jason, do you want to talk any more about the setting? Or
the initial game takes place in a haunted orphanage. All of the characters are orphans at that orphanage. And really, the book has all the rules, and it's got settings, and a couple of starter adventures. It's really a good narrative system. That's where we're kind of building for. So kind of crunch light, but story heavy. And yeah, we found equal success with families and with experienced like D&D players who just want to do something for one shot, just something as a palate cleanser. It's
really a fun system to be silly with.
Yeah, it's big on silly. It's big on rule of cool. It's if you want to try something crazy, then there's probably a way to do it that's already built into the system.
I think I think the 3-dimensional points is genius. You know, it just makes so much sense. I hadn't thought of it. You know, an idea is a good idea when someone says it and it takes 5 seconds. You're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Like, why isn't everything like that?
You've got your ouchies, your grumps, and your tummy aches, and yeah, it really was. It was you attack different ways. You know, combat is not just I hit you, you hit me. It's I'm gonna pet that mean dog into submission, and you know, so I'm gonna attack him with my cuteness, and it all, you know, it comes out of how the player wants to address the situation, and the damage you take it feeds the same way. You could get cued into submission. You know, it's entirely possible.
Yeah, we're using this system, which is really kind of basic to build other games, and so, but that will be kind of a staple of our systems, is that social damage, somebody's hurt feelings will affect you differently than somebody shooting you in the arm.
Yeah, that sounds really, really intriguing. That's very cool.
Yep. So Evenfooting Games, we've got a podcast as well where we do an actual play and a design talk at the end of each episode. So especially while we're working on new games, we'll play test for the first half, and then we'll talk about the rules. And we really encourage people to share what they think about what we're working on, because a lot of the stuff is work in progress. You know, we've got this first book out, but we're building new games, we're putting new stuff out. So feedback from fans is absolutely necessary for us to put out projects that we think everyone's going to want to play.
And we're also we're testing other systems too, because we want to, know how other systems play and learn from them.
Tell us where we can buy your book.
Amazon, Drive-Thru RPG, hopefully very soon in brick and mortar stores, should they choose to order it. But there are a couple that have done it, but it's usually ones that are near one of us that we have some pull with.
Right.
So Amazon and Drive-Thru RPG, Babies and Broadswords by Evenfooting Games.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds
awesome.
Great.
All right, Holy, got anything else? What have we missed?
That's it. That's everything.
That's it?
That's everything.
All right. Aaron, Jason, thank you.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah.
See you next week on House Rules.